Hello everyone, welcome back to our second video about geometric sequence. In the previous video, we introduced how to use explicit formula and recursive formula to define geometric sequence. In this video, we are going to do some practices so we can be more familiar with these two types of formulas to define geometric sequence. Let's check. So the first one is asking us to define this sequence in explicit formula and recursive formula. So let's quickly check. So as we mentioned, recursive formula is always defined like this way. So we just need to plug in the number we know. So the first term is -1. Again, whenever I put negative, I just prefer to put parentheses in case to make a mistake. Now we need to figure out what is common ratio. So as you can see, the number is doubled. However, if you compare sign, it's alternating. So that's indicating the common ratio is actually negative. So you multiply -2. So that's why the ratio is -2 and -1. Okay, that's it. That's our explicit formula. If you want to just take out the parentheses, that's also fine. So you can just, take out the parentheses for this one. It's not really, parentheses here, but so it's -2 and -1. So you can keep this way or you can write down in this way. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so that's our answer for the first one. Now let's use a different color to write down recursive formula. Remember, recursive formula, we always need to provide the first term, which is -1, and we need to define the next term, which is, in order to get the next term, we need to multiply -2. So -2 times, and that's it. That's our recursive formula. So if you prefer using this way to write it, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so both way to write it are all right. It really doesn't matter. It's just, different symbol here. Okay, so that's the first example. Now let's check this one. I don't know what's going on, but I think I can read this for you so we can solve this problem. So in a geometric sequence, it is known that we know the first term is -1. If you see this closely, it's actually the first term is 64. Now we are asking what is the 10th term, okay? So that's the question here. Now let's check how do we find this answer. So sometimes to understand this one, as we know, what we need to do is we need to figure out from the tens on, it should be from the first one times whatever the common ratio, and also 10 minus 1 is going to be ninth term, right? So that's basically the answer for that. And now we know the first term, but we don't know the ratio. So the main idea is, how do I find the ratio? So we are going to use this two number here. As you can see, I know the fourth term, and we know the fourth term. In order to get the fourth term, I need to times the common ratio 3 times, right? So now let's plug in the number. So 64 equals next 1 times r to the third power. Now let's isolate this one. So it's going to be -64 equal to r to the third power. So r is actually cubic root of -64. So what is the answer? You're right. R is -4. Think about this. It's -4 times -4 times -4 is going to be -64, right? Okay, so that's our ratio. Now I'm going to plug in here. So this one, 18, is going to be -1 times -4 to the ninth power. So now we just need to use a calculator times this number there, so -1 times -4 or 2. But one thing, remember, whenever you put this, do not forget the negative sign here. So I just using my calculator on my hand, so it's just easier. So the final answer is, you can definitely use your calculator on the hand or in the phone or even online to confirm if my answer is correct. So that's it. That's how do we find the answer. But the other thing I want to remind you is, some student might question, in order to get the 10th term, do I have to use the first one? Can I use the fourth one to get this? So I'm going to write the notes on this side so you can see how do we get the answer from the fourth term. So A10 is, again, from the first term, I'm going to multiply the ratio for 9 times 10 minus 1. So from the fourth term, I need to multiply the ratio. How many times? 6 times, right? So 10 minus 1 is 9. That's from the first term. But from this one, you will get this. So you can also test it if you can get exactly same answer from this one. And trust me, you will get the same answer from here. So, but this is just the idea to give you a second option to see how we use, explicit formula in a different way. Now, last question. This one is a little bit long and in the real life context. So Lydia parents is going to offer her 2 different options to earn her allowance for a 9-week period over the summer. And she has 2 ways to get it. One is get $30 each week. And the other one is $1 first week, $2 second week, and then $4 third week, and so on. So we need to help her which option she should choose. Apparently, sometimes some students might wonder, I want to choose a simple one instead of doing math. Yes, that's going to be an option, but in this context, we just need to compare which one we can actually earn more money, right? And also some students might say, hey, if I get $30 each week, I can just, spend it. But maybe, Lydia want to save it to get like a total amount, bigger one, so she can just use it in the future. But anyway, either way we can compare. But whatever the reason you are going to explain here, just make sure you justify that. But for this case, I'm going to compare the amount in total, okay? So I can say which one we are going to get more money. So for the first one, we know $30 each week, and the parents is going to pay 9 weeks. So that's $30 times 9, very straightforward. It's going to be $270. That's for the first one. For the second one, as you can see, it's $1, $2, $4. We can continue, and you can see apparently this is going to be geometric sequence, right? So, since we're going to do more calculation, I guess we are going to use more space here. So now let's figure out all the numbers where we can do together to figure out which option she's going to do. So we already know the first 3 terms is going to be, then it's going to be 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The next one is going to be 256 because it's just, multiply. So now we are going to add them together, right? In a very near future, we are going to learn how do we find the sum for this number, but I'm going to quickly show you how to do this. So we're going to add them together so we can figure out the answer. And you can use a calculator to do this very quickly to figure out. But no matter what we do here, but as you can see, in the 9th week, she already got $256 right? That's first week, that's ninth week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I just want to make sure I'm not doing the in the wrong way. So for the total 9 weeks here, we only get $270, right? That's all the money. But for this one, if I get already this week is that money, and then if I compare to that, of course, it's going to be, we don't need to know the final answer here, but we know the total amount is going to be bigger than this one. So that's actually an interesting question for us to think, because if you check this number, first week is only $1, then $2, $4, then fourth week $8, even up to the 4 weeks here, you still don't see a lot of money, right? 4 week you don't see a lot of money, but somehow some point it's like before it's a little bit slowly increasing, but at some turning point increasing very quickly. That probably replying remind you of our exponential function we talked about before, but that's actually, you're right. Geometric sequence is related to geometric sequence function here. So somehow it's increasing very quickly. So this one is actually telling us very interesting way. So sometimes you just need to be a little bit patient, and you can even get a bigger amount of money. And if you want to save it, I think that's actually give you quite big use in the future. Okay, so that's just a question for you to look at how geometry sequence increasing in a maybe you don't notice but very quick big way after some turning point. Okay, so thank you so much for checking this video and study this topic with me, and you're always welcome to watch this video if you need some extra clarification based on questions. And take care everyone.